Hello, hello. Welcome everybody to BioBridge, where we talk about connecting Japan to the rest of the world in the biosciences, life sciences, biotech, devices, medtech, anything that's life and bio related is fair game. And I was in Japan up to about a week ago. I'm still kind of jet lagged. At this time, it's hit me a little longer than usual. But I was there for about 12 days, met investors, pharma guys, and had a lot of fun. But on my last day, I met this really cool guy just out of nowhere on LinkedIn. We decided he's going to be our next guest. And today we have him. So Christian is our next guest today. But before that, Ibrahim, how are you doing? We've not spoken for about a month now.
I know you've been like away for a long time. I blame it on you. No, but it's good
There you
to
go.
good to have Christian on the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right. All right. So I was saying, kind of like how I met Ibrahim almost a year ago now. Commented on your post. I thought it was really nice. Shared it, and then somehow you got connected on LinkedIn, and here you are as my co-host on my program since July, I guess. July last
Episode
year.
21. Episode 21.
Episode 21. Think about that. Every other week we do this. And then similar thing happened. I saw a post from Christian about Japan global leaders, and it really resonated with me, and I shared that. And then suddenly, Christian's in my inbox, and a few hours later, we're actually in an izakaya in Tokyo, having a drink and talking, about everything and about connecting Japan and investors and high net worth individuals. We're gonna get into all that. Christian, thank you for sharing your time and expertise with us today. Say hello, and we'll get into introductions.
Hello. So should I just introduce myself or?
Yeah, yes,
Yes.
please. Yes, please. Lots of questions, but let's start from the beginning.
Hmm.
Your life in Japan, your kind of work, what you do, in the order that you like.
Yeah, actually, I'm sitting here at my desk at home right now. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, I think, and I already had one call at 6 o'clock in the morning, which
Oh my
was
goodness.
involving Canada on the one hand side and Europe on the other hand. At the moment, it's only 7 hours time difference to Europe. So yeah, so I'm the founder of PDIE Group, a purpose-driven innovation ecosystem. Also the founder of Aventa, which is my boutique consulting firm, and running a few initiatives like you mentioned already, Japan Global Leaders. And with all I'm doing, basically, the pursuit is always co-creating a better tomorrow, a better future, by solving some of the grand challenges which we are facing as humanity. And I can maybe elaborate further on this, but maybe for the first kind of
Yes.
short introduction, the present moment, it is probably enough.
Well, yeah. But let's before we get into the nitty gritty, we always like to know the background of our guests, and why are you in the business of connecting Japan and outside of Japan, or even why are you in Japan in the first place? Sort of give us a little historical rundown in a few minutes, I
And then
guess.
we kind of have to infer between your time differences you mentioned, but you're in
Yes,
Japan, right? Where in Japan are you?
in Tokyo. In Tokyo.
Oh, all right.
I'm right now here in Meguro, basically.
Exciting.
Yes.
So as Tetsu was mentioning, like, how did you end up in Japan?
Yeah, so 1997, actually 28th of March, which was Saturday. That
Wow.
was the first time when I embarked on my very first journey to Japan. So next year it will be 30 years ago, and in total I have been living here for 25 years so far.
My
And
goodness.
I studied East Asian regional studies with a focus on economics. And there was economics, business administration. There was a language part, so I learned Japanese. And there was other subjects like political science, sociology, and geography. And it's kind of a generalist study course, but as a generalist, you can be open to do anything basically, and that can be a blessing and a curse at the same time sometimes. So I have always been very broadly interested in many different things, and that brought me into
Yeah.
many different directions as well. So
yeah, I definitely think that personality is built into your career based on what I know. The little that I know so far. I've already heard agrobio. I've already heard furnitures. I heard, talent development. Yeah, go into a little bit of that. Because it first what caught my attention was that you were at Bayer with
yes.
agrobio. So that's really the life science part of you. Usually we have guests who are like fully immersed in life sciences, but you have a strong beginning in life sciences, but then you sort of went elsewhere, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
Exactly. I mean, so I started in a highly scientific field with Bayer. Your pronunciation is Bayer. In Germany, we say Bayer.
Yeah.
It's a German company. Friedrich Bayer founded it in 1863 in Wuppertal in Germany, and started with dyes, textile dyes, basically. And that was beginning of this kind of one of the largest chemical companies right now in the world. Some people don't love it so much. They say that it's a vicious company because they also bought Monsanto for $21 billion, which might have been a mistake. I don't know. But so I joined Bayer in 1999, actually. And before that, I had an internship when I was a student in Japan. And at the end of this internship, they enabled me for a conversation with the president of the Bayer Japan group. And it was very unexpected for me. And I was quite nervous because I was young. And his office had been as large as the big office where I was sitting with many other employees at a computer, and had a nice painting on the wall. And there was one other guy in the room I didn't know, and it turned out that this other guy had actually been a board member from Germany. And so I had this honor as a student already to interact with the board level of Bayer, and then on the spot they actually offered me the job, and this made me.
So you were in Japan when they offered you a job.
Yes, I did an internship
back home in Germany.
It was in Japan. I did this internship in Japan. Yes.
Okay, so this is 99.
This was, I mean, the internship was earlier than that, like, I don't know, 1998, I think. And it was a 3 months internship, and I found it very boring, to be honest. And I was very, very happy to be released from data crunching and data analysis, because we created a databases about insects, pests, and fungi, basically, which was very important because the chemicals would be found. You have to find these active ingredients which have efficacy against problem points like the diseases in plants, for example. Yeah, and so I had to go through all these insect names and pest names and so on. So I got very familiar with all of this. And then you have the different crops. You have fruit trees. You have vegetables. You have, of course, rice and grains and
Oh
so on.
yes, rice
And
is a big part of your career,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So I think I'm getting the timeline a little mixed up here. You said you came for the first time in 96 or 97, so it'll be like 30 years since
Yes.
your first trip to Japan, but you've been living in Japan for 25, so that's where sort of the disconnect that I'm not seeing here.
Mm.
You lived in Japan for a while, you left for a few years and came back, or is this
Exactly. So I mean,
okay.
I first joined Bayer for a 2 months kind of trainee program. They sent me through all the different departments in Germany,
Okay.
and after these 2 months, I was sent to Japan again. And then the aspiration was to build a quick career. I was always kind of the bridge in between the headquarter, because I spoke Japanese, and they needed somebody like me as a kind of catalyst, because
There you
what
go.
the headquarter was demanding was not always in line with what the Japanese organization really wanted to do.
All right.
But yeah, so after only 1.5 years, I got the offer to come back to Germany, to the headquarters, and during that time, actually, the merger happened, so that Bayer became Bayer Crop Science, and it merged with Aventis. This was a company consisting of the old German company Höchst and Agrevo, you know. So yeah, so that was one of the stories. And then because of Bayer Crop Science, it was difficult for me to stick to the original plan. I wanted to stay in Germany for a while and then go back to Japan again in a higher position. And this didn't work out. So that's why I actually changed to BASF, which my mentor at Bayer was not so happy about. But
Oh,
I met him actually just last year in October. He came for a trip to Japan, and
wow. So
very nice.
you switched over from Bayer to BASF in Germany.
No, I
Right?
actually applied for a position in Japan.
So you were in Germany at
Yes,
Bayer and you applied
yes,
to a position in Japan. Okay.
yes,
I thought,
exactly.
okay.
Mm.
Wow, okay.
And when I
And
was
so
in
you came to
Germany, I had in my passport, I had a visa for India, because there was a development conference in India. And then I was thinking, shall I do this trip, or maybe I should tell them that I'm leaving actually, but I had never been to India and I was very curious to go to India. But finally I decided not to do the trip to India. So even now, although I have so many friends from India, I've never been to India yet. So
Oh,
maybe
wow,
this
okay.
year, actually this year I want to go to India, to Mumbai, for the Earthshot Prize, and we come to this maybe later in the discussion.
All right. Okay. So let's get into a little bit of, this cross-cultural, this German part of you and the Japan part of you. So you mentioned you speak Japanese. And I can imagine in those days, without a very strong internet, the speaking abilities of people like yourself, these bridges were very, very important. Do you think it's less important today with the internet and the advent of internet and AI and these all these automations with the translations and whatnot? Do you think it's less important today to be able to use these languages, or
No,
perhaps more? I don't know.
no, I mean, I think it becomes easier to communicate, but as always, the human connection is from heart to heart, and if you speak the language and know the culture, it's of course it's very different from if you just use some kind of electronic tools to be able to communicate. A lot of things get lost in the way, and what in some cultures is very obvious and okay to do, it can basically build you a lot of roadblocks in Japan, actually. So yeah, we have to be sophisticated, and in Japanese we say kuki o yomu, so you have to be able to read the air, to see behind the scenes and so on, because I mean the Japanese language itself is also not always very clear.
It's a very fuzzy language.
It's a very high context language. Yeah.
Fuzzy by design.
Yeah.
I when I was younger, I used to think the complete opposite. I don't know why. I used to think Japanese people are so good in math, and so these stems, these hard skills, that everything's very exact. And then I later I really realized that the syntax, so how the words are placed in a sentence is very flexible. And there's no, often you speak without a subject to the verb. And so it's very, very flexible in that way. It's very fuzzy. And you can add a word at the very end of a sentence and change completely the meaning of a sentence. All these things I later realized that it's actually fuzziness built by design so that people can sort of spread like the accountability of everything that's happening by building in fuzziness. What do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, for example, I don't mention the name of the company or something like that, but yesterday I had a meeting, and the meeting from my perspective was a meeting in order to make things happen, to find a way how to come together, to actually organize a specific event. And when I got there, from the first moment, I knew that this was not the case. It was a meeting in order to tell me that it's basically difficult to do something together. So, and in the end, I went out of the meeting, and I had actually asked them very specific questions, and none of these questions was answered in a kind of fuzzy way. And this is one of the typical examples. And even me being here for 25 years, I have a gut feeling, but sometimes I can be wrong, and it's always also the combination of different people. And this other person who joined the meeting, I had not known him very well. It seems that I had met him before, but
so they're all Japanese.
Oh, personal. So in Japan, if you have built a personal relationship and you know each other a little bit better, it becomes easier actually to discuss topics, and it becomes easier because as soon as there is a trust, then people are more willing to do something together. So they also need to find these kind of angles of credibility, and they create these markers for themselves. So they ask a set of questions in the beginning. Where are you from? Oh, you speak Japanese, and how long have you been in Japan? And somehow they want to figure out your background and who you are. And then when all of this comes together and creates an image of a positive image, basically, then then you can do business together. So
they're really assessing not just the product or the project that you're discussing. That's half the equation. The other half is you as the person, as the potential teammate that's coming up. So they're evaluating whether you're going to be there through thick and thin Are you going to be there when things are down? Are you going to be there, for the team? So they're not looking for a transactional thing. They're really looking for a relationship contract, basically.
Yeah. And there's maybe another example. We were raising for a company, a German startup actually, which is an incredible startup which has created one of the first photonic and laser-based chip technologies in the world. And they already have now the first production facility going where they produce their prototype chips, basically, which are already delivered to research facilities, etc. And I thought it was a tremendous opportunity. And we had pitched it to many of these prominent Japanese companies. And the person who was representing the investor side, basically from Europe, who wanted to have more Japanese investors involved, he had a touch of being a little bit arrogant, and he was very impatient and he was sometimes showing this kind of feeling of being impatient with the Japanese people. And then what happened is that this person on the other side told me, yeah, Mr. Schmitz, we really like this company, but we also want to work with people whom we appreciate. And
my goodness, what a great example.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was really interesting. Yeah.
It really goes to show how the Japanese assess business transactions. They really assess it for the long term. And, obviously you need to pass a certain threshold of quality. You have to be good or very good. But beyond that is you as a person. So that's a great example right there.
Yeah. So we always have to.
So over the years, you've built, you've been in various industries. You've built the different enterprises yourself. We want to touch upon topics that are inbound. So from global companies coming into Japan, and then outbound. So Japanese companies, Japanese leaders going globally. And you have a program called Japan Global Leaders. We'll touch upon that after. First, I want to know your experience as a foreigner coming into Japan and bring in companies into Japan, this Japan Access angle. What is, what is a good message, I guess, you have to global companies, or what are their first big mistakes that they could avoid? What are the things you go, wow, if I had known this coming into Japan? Any good examples?
I would have to think a little bit about specific examples, but Carrefour, Carrefour was
yes. That's a big MBA type case.
Yes.
That's
so
true.
Yes.
And actually, a friend of mine was the CFO at Carrefour at that time. And finally, they had to withdraw from the Japanese market, basically, because they didn't figure out really what the Japanese consumer really wanted. And on the one hand side, you have to correspond to the needs of the Japanese people here, and you have to communicate in a different way with the Japanese consumer. On the other hand, what makes you unique? So, for example, Carrefour is French, so you have to transport it and have to create stories, basically storytelling, to the Japanese consumer, so that the Japanese consumer gets this additional emotional benefit of going for shopping in in a French kind of or French influenced environment, where they can actually get products also at a reasonable price, because that also becomes more and more important. I mean, Japan in the 90s still had been kind of a high price market, but with Uniqlo and also Nitori in the furniture and interior design, a lot of companies try to perfect basically the high quality, low price image, and more this became evident in the Japanese market, and also the available household incomes here in Japan. I mean, you have very high differences between that, but the average is actually rather on the low end. So you have to see that. And now at the moment, you know, with all what's happening in the world, oil and gas prices and the exchange rates put a lot of pressure now into the especially the people who want to import into the Japanese market from Europe or from the US are quite affected by these exchange rates. So we have to be more creative to think about new concepts, new business concepts as well, to make it feasible to reach the Japanese consumer.
Yeah. Well, on the flip side, it's a great time to invest in Japan.
Yes.
For foreigners coming in, right? It's a tremendous opportunity. You know, in our world, you know, Ibrahim and myself, in biopharma and you know, life sciences in general, the Japanese government is pushing and is really, you know, plowing resources into the ecosystem abundantly. So that's really attracting a lot of investment. And they're all these VCs, they're all setting up these initiatives to connect Japan and the US and have this bilateral flow of information, bilateral flow of capital, bilateral flow of, you know, it's great. It's a very, you know, exciting times. We've had another guest who used to be the boss of AbbVie Japan, and he says, you know, he's been in Japan also for quite a while. He says he's never, you know, been as excited as he's been right now.
The boss of what?
The future. AbbVie Japan. AbbVie, the company, the pharma company. So he was the boss. His name is James Feliciano, and he was. And yeah, he's also very, very excited. I'm very excited right now, seeing all the activities going on. So yeah, so we talked about, you know, companies coming in, but you have a program called Japan Global Leaders program.
Yes.
Tell us about that. Tell us what kind of people you're targeting. What exactly is the goal, and how does that contribute to global collaboration?
And is this something you do on the side or professionally? Sorry.
No, I mean, just to, it should become one kind of pillar of, and it relates to the other activities which we are also doing. And it in itself, it's one. It looks like an independent project, but it's connected to all the other initiatives which we are running, of course, because I'm here in Japan. Have more experience than some of the young Japanese people who were born after 1997, because I came in 1997. I don't speak the language as well as a native Japanese person, but almost maybe. And so in 2019, before the pandemic, I was invited to the Cabinet Office's task force for open innovation. And open innovation, you know, is combining startups, researchers, and corporations, and looks for pathways how to accelerate innovation, because very often large corporations have an incapability of really having accelerated pathways to innovation. And the Japanese government, ever since then, tried a lot of initiatives, poured a lot of money in. There's a lot of money available right now in Japan in order to get these things going. But the Japanese government is very much aware that there is something lacking here in Japan, which is the mindset, and which is also a global mindset. You know, I have been to so many talks and so many events where this became a recurring theme. People in prominent positions in the government, in venture capital, in corporations, they always kept on saying the same. 日本もっとグローバルにならないといけない。So it needs to become more global. We need to become more global. And one of the keys of being global is, of course, starts from the language, starts from the way how you express yourself. It also starts from confidence in what you're doing. And
oh my goodness,
this again is connected to the purpose. So if you have a deeper purpose and meaning in what you're doing, you have more confidence. And if you have more confidence, even if your English is broken, you can step up and stand on a stage and talk about this. And I believe that Japan has a lot of talent, and Japan has soft power. You know, there is a lot of interesting things going on. There's a lot of creativity. If you know, in Japan, there's also this saying, "Hammer down the nail which sticks out." Deru kugi wa utsu. And sometimes if somebody becomes too creative, they hammer him down, and then it will be equalized, basically. But there's an urgency now because this has been done too much and too long, so that the idea with Japan Global Leaders is really that we look into creating an annual program and a cohort of Japanese leaders. They can be business leaders, entrepreneurs. So business leaders are in corporations. They can be nominated by the corporations. Entrepreneurs, and these entrepreneurs work on interesting, innovative things, and they have something which actually can work not only in Japan but also globally. And they also have the ambition to go global and find new concepts to realize that. And except the business part, of course, we have the same kind of thing as female leaders. So female leaders, supporting female leaders is also a very important thing. And then we also have the whole cultural part, people who are into cultural activities, music, art, and sports. And these people, they don't have, you have influencers who have millions of followers, but they only produce nonsense, basically. And with the nonsense, they infect other people with more nonsense. But if somebody has a platform and utilizes this platform to communicate interesting contents and inspiring contents, which actually lead us to a better future, that's very interesting. And these people could also be part of Japan Global Leaders.
Fantastic.
I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as Ibrahim mentioned, so is this your company running this program, or are there any like support from the government? I mean, I could totally see the government supporting this kind of initiative. You know, hiring like a private company like yourself to do this kind of
yes.
talent development. It really is global talent development, basically.
At the moment, you know, I visited the Prime Minister's office under Kishida actually 2 times, and that's already maybe 2 years ago. but they really liked that initiative, and they say they would like to support it, but they also wanted to see who else is involved. And for example, at the moment we have Mitsui-san from the Mitsui family. He's from the Mitsui Zaibatsu. We have the former CEO of Dentsu. We have a former female politician. We have a philanthropist. We have a Buddhist monk who is also a young global, or who was a young global leader at the World Economic Forum. And he's a very, very interesting person as well. And we had him as a keynote speaker at our Sustainable City Summit. He speaks about being a good ancestor, so we did a meditation on being a good ancestor in the beginning of this summit. So this kind of side is also very, very important for me, that people also connect with their inner self, and then by doing that we can much better connect also to the outside world. So
such an interesting concept. And I is this Japanese? I think there are investors who invest in actual people, in that
yes.
The investor would pay for the education and all the training, and then with some sort of a payout at, I don't know, when they join a company, or it's like a dividend payout, or I don't know how it works. But is this something that would work with your model, where because I suppose the participant needs to pay something, kind of like an accelerator type arrangement. I'm not too sure, but if it were to have like an investor invest in this global talent, right? You want a Japanese global leader, groom this leader to become a global talent, send them to the US or Europe for internships and things like that. Is that part of the program? But all this costs a lot of money, right?
Yes. Yeah. So
how's the finance behind this? Is there some sort of a investment program for investors to invest in individual people? Does that exist?
It also kind of sounds like something Japan did anyway before the war. When Japan was opening up, they were sending people, overseas to get educated and basically import.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
The Iwakura mission under the Meiji Emperor. They explored the whole world. They were tasked with learning as much as possible and then bringing all the contents back to the Meiji Emperor, basically, and working on the restoration, the modernization of Japan. Yeah. And I'm actually that's a good keyword, because I think that Japan needs a new Meiji restoration now. So we need a new giant leap forward, where we can actually utilize all these strengths and qualities which Japanese people have. Japanese people are peaceful, they like harmony, and in this world right now, I think that people from Japan could be a very balancing factor, and they could bring, with their soft power, they bring hopefully more peace to the world and responsibility. And for the finance part, the investment part, this is of course a very good idea, and I'm thinking of offering people to, invest would be the wrong word, because if you invest, you want to buy shares, or you want to somehow participate. It could be in the form of a scholarship or something like this. So, and a scholarship could be given by an organization. So it could be a company, or but the other thing which is very important is that every leader who joins this program, this is skin in the game. So if this person does not put anything from him or herself, then they would not be really engaged. So there's a minimum of what they need to pay in order to be a part of the program. And people who say, no, I don't need to pay, they are not interesting. Because they are not responsible leaders. So they don't know that
I agree.
you have to contribute in order to get something. And the investment for an annual membership is not very, very big. Actually, it's 500,000 yen for an annual membership, and the minimum which we want to charge is at least 50,000. So even a student can ask his father or whatever, give me 50,000 yen, and it's not what it should be. It should be his own 50,000 yen, so that he has skin in the game. But
so for those who,
it's like $350 or so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. If they go through this program,
500,000. So the 500,000 is approximately $3,000-4,000 US dollars. So it's minimal for a program like this.
And then we are raising sponsorships from Japanese and international corporations who also see the meaning in this program. And these corporations can also then nominate their best talents to join. And
is there a selection process?
There's a selection process. There's a selection process. So everybody can nominate a Japan Global Leader. But first of all, we have to do a screening, basically. So we would interview the nominator so that we know who is nominating global leaders. And as soon as a nominator is approved, they can nominate. And then when somebody gets nominated, then again, we also do an initial interview with the person who is nominated, and then they get onboarded to the program. And then we have...
Oh, so sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. So just to add a little bit more context, like what happens when they join the program? So what do you actually provide?
So we have a group of mentors and coaches who work on different skill sets, basically, in order to make them capable for being on the global stage. This is one thing. The other thing is that we want to create a media channel where we showcase. So we have Hoshino Hiroko-san. She's the head of Asia Pacific for Financial Times, and she's also on our advisory board. And Financial Times, as you might know, was bought by Nikkei. So we want to have social media and also media presence for these people, because we want to work on an inspiring impact, basically, so that people who are featured as global leaders, they can bring positive impact to the rest of the society by leading with good example, basically. And so every month we have online and offline gatherings, and we improve their skill sets by targeted sessions. And they could also go further. They could have one-on-one sessions, but if they do one-on-one sessions, that would be extra money which they can decide themselves if they do it or not. And then we bring access to real global leaders. Just one example, we have film producers in town this week, and we have a billionaire coming this week. He's an investor. Then we have from India, we have one of the most influential people from India coming later this month. So we will bring together some Japanese business leaders as well. who are, of course, interested to work more with India. Japan is a very hot topic right now. And this person is sitting on the nexus of media. So he's the owner of, I mean, if I tell you too much, you might actually know who it is, but he's the owner of one of the most prominent media outlets in India, and is also a billionaire, and a very good friend of his family has asked me to actually arrange part of his schedule. So we will take him to the Meiji Shrine. We will organize dinner, and we will probably go to Mount Fuji area and these kind of things. So, and by doing this, it's unlike most of the other kind of leadership programs where it's just talk and seminar and you sit in a nice room. But this brings people together, and one part is incoming leaders, and the other part is, as a global leader, you have to see global conferences. So there's the World Economic Forum in Davos. There is the Impact Week in Singapore, for example. There's a Milken Institute. There is the FII, the Saudi Arabian Future Investment Initiative. And all of these kind of things we have access to. So we can.
So how do you have access to all these VIPs, these billionaires, and the head of company XYZ? Who are you? Why did they all come to you?
Maybe because I'm not asking them for money, actually, and I'm a member myself of several groups, and one of these groups is called the Vine Global Impact. This is a network for family offices, world leaders, NPOs and NGOs, and governments as well. And from the very beginning, this started in 2020, actually, from a lady who is a private banker, American lady. And I was connected to her because of the Earthshot Prize, because I was looking for people to nominate for the Earthshot Prize. And one of the nominations was a movie project. And the person who did this movie project, which was was called the A-Listers, A Conversation That Matters, including the Prince from Monaco and Leonardo DiCaprio, etc. So bringing A-listers from Hollywood to the context of saving the planet, basically, and not only doing the movie, but also creating a pledge, basically. And the pledge was for these billionaires, and the person who had created a group family offices are not necessarily billionaires. There might be millionaires, but there are also a lot of billionaires in this group. And because this lady does it in a very intimate way, basically, and brings these people together in physical and online gatherings on a regular. Almost every week you can participate in some meetings, and then you can connect. So on one of these sessions, I connected to Princess Rima from Saudi Arabia. She is the current US ambassador. I think she's the first female ambassador from Saudi Arabia. And she did a lot for women empowerment. And she also was a young global leader at the World Economic Forum before. So through these kind of networks, and this is not the only network. So I'm like I said, maybe before, I'm a member of the Royal Society of Arts, RSA. This is the British Society. I'm German, but my old British friend had been the chairman of this Japan chapter here, and we had a lot of intellectual dialogues. Also, actually walking through the Meiji Shrine very early in the morning, like 7 o'clock, we met at the Meiji Shrine, and we had a long walk, like 1.5 hours after that breakfast, and talking about many topics. And he was at a certain stage tired of being the chairman of the RSA Japan chapter, and he said, "Why don't you do that?" And I'm the German chairman of the RSA in Japan now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's nice. But I think the key point I fully align with is, if you want to be a leader, you need to surround yourself with leaders. You need to meet these leaders, be able to communicate with them on their level. And it's something you have to learn. Like you cannot, always be speaking from the bottom up, or worse, top down. You have to find a way to speak peer to peer. But these are very intimidating people, these billionaires and these super investors, these CEOs. But you need to surround yourself with them and get comfortable, and be able to speak their language, think their way, and then become one of them eventually. So what you're doing, I think, is great. They're bringing in these highly influential people and mingling, allowing them, providing a platform for mingling and whatnot. Right.
That's a great point, and brings up a question for me. The Japanese language and culture is very tiered. So how do you bridge that, the Japanese side, to be able to communicate with leaders or people that might be at least perceived as non-peers, higher level?
Yeah, that's indeed a very good question. And if you have a senior outstanding leader in Japan, for example, the word sensei would be added eventually, and there's a deep respect towards these people. On the one hand side, on the other hand, for example, professors at universities, when they have their their seminar, they become a very intimate group, and the students and the professor develop also a closer relationship. And when you had been for example, a member of the seminar, and you had been going through a whole period of time together, you develop this new relationship, and to recognize and realize these kind of interconnections between people is also a big skill to have. But you are completely right. If you in Japan, there's always the honor and the respect, and there's this kind of invisible wall. If somebody young comes, the established leaders might just smile about somebody like this, and 若いやつ何考えてるんだろうな. So they say, so what is this young dude thinking? So but if this young dude is persistent and is able to convey the message also in a language which speaks to these people, and can detect this integrate network of relationships around different people, then it will be possible to crack this hard shell sometimes. So sometimes you have to actually crack the shell, and if you find something in one of these leaders which is a personal interest, for example, it might be something very exotic. So there was a guy who was interested in bugs, basically, and they have a collection of insects, and knows all the Latin names of the insects and so on. And as soon as you have cracked this, and you can speak with him a little bit about these insects, you get more access, and then all of a sudden, new things become possible. It's just an example, but
I think, I think what Ibrahim's alluding to is really important. And when I say peer to peer, I think maybe that's not the correct term. It's sort of like your in group or the out group.
Yes.
If you're part of the in group and you're still, you're more junior to whoever you're talking to, by virtue of being in the in group, you will always be favored relative to somebody who's in the out group.
Yes.
So it's how do you get into that inner circle? That's very hard for in Japan. You can be friendly. You're not in. Right.
There are a lot of these kind of in groups. Could be around universities. There's a strong identification to alma mater. It could be Keio University, Todai, Tokyo University. It could be Waseda. It could be Meiji University, Hitotsubashi University, and so on. And if you see that somebody belongs to this kind of in-group, and then, for example, I know the president of Keio right now, and I also have some friends who are professors at Keio. And we also actually launched the program at Keio last year. But of course, if you focus too much on one group, you can exclude other people by this. So it's important to not be too exclusive, but to also bring in.
It's a difficult dance to master.
Yes.
In these big companies,
there's always this kind of strong identification, and you call it uchi to soto or omote ura. And so in uchi, in the in group, everything is intimate, secrets will be shared, etc. If you come from the outside, and I'm a gaijin, gai is soto, I'm outside, I'm an outsider, and it's difficult to get in to the group. And then you have ura joho, which is the back information, the which you cannot access usually if you are not from the in group. So, and
That's
hone
right.
and tatemai is also, hone is
all these things that really reflect the Japanese culture very, very strongly, very, very deeply.
So Christian, have you managed not to be a gaijin yet, or are you still considered?
I am, of course, I'm still considered to be a gaijin.
Yeah,
and it has also positive aspects because you have the gaijin bonus, I call it.
There is a gaijin bonus, yes.
Indeed.
You get forgiven. You get forgiven for the mistakes you make.
And you can pretend that you don't understand Japanese, for example, sometimes.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, when you forget that you pretend, you start speaking Japanese. Oh, Nihongo dekiru nda. They are very that you.
My goodness. Oh, wow. As the discussion is just getting interesting, we're going to have to think about wrapping up pretty soon. Ibrahim, you have any urgent topics that you'd like to cover?
Usually at the end of the episodes, I think the most urgent thing is how do people get in touch with you, and for what should they get in touch with you?
Very good. So if you are interested in regenerative futures or sustainability, environment, and innovation.
Regenerative futures.
Yes.
I love that.
So you should get in touch via PDIE Group, Purpose-Driven Innovation Ecosystem. If you are an aspiring leader in Japan or in the world, you should get in touch via the japangloballeaders.com website. And of course, I'm on LinkedIn, and so we are building all these initiatives. And if you just want to be connected to somebody very interesting in Japan, I'm also, we are hosting this upcoming event on Easter Sunday for Peace with a film on Hiroshima, which is also very interesting. And so whatever it is, I think it will be interesting to get in touch. And I'm very open to speak to people, basically.
You are very open. We barely knew each other for a few minutes or half an hour, and you've invited me to go have a drink out in Shimbashi. That's where we were. But
yes,
I really enjoyed that. I really appreciate your openness to connect, your openness to new ideas. We're not quite in the same industry, precisely, but we had a blast and we talked, and time flew by just like it's flying by right now. I want to get your last comment about the future. So regenerative future. I just can't. I love that. I hope you copyright that somewhere, because in our world we talk about regenerative medicine. But regenerative future. I can't get over how cool that sounds. Tell us what's in the future for I don't know, for your company, for Japan, for the world, at any level. What do you see?
Yeah, we are at the crossroads at the moment. Humanity is facing a lot of difficulties and turmoil and geopolitical tensions, which are also about resources, or mainly about resources, maybe. But if we solve these things and we actually get finally rid of all these fossil fuels and fossil energy, we stop digging things from our Mother Earth, from the ground. We use what's grown on the ground, in the soil, and we developed biomass-based materials, biomass-based fuels. We could partly also think about new energy sources. We will gradually shift towards a more nature-based and bio-based economy, where things are not anymore linear. So producing, consuming, dumping, it will be more circular. Producing, and while we are producing, already thinking about the design, and then regenerating and creating new life cycles out of the old, basically. That would be a new economy. And we have the two-edged sword, which is AI and technology. We can utilize it for the good, or we can utilize it for surveillance and military and killing people. So we have the decision. And this is about consciousness. And if we can shift the consciousness towards something good, I think we are going towards a good future. And I hope that at the moment, these frictions and the conflicts we have in the world is a transition period. And that on the other end of this, a really new renaissance is waiting for us.
My goodness. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for your words of wisdom. I really enjoyed this hour plus. Wow, it's been a while since we actually went over an hour. We usually try to aim for 30 minutes to 45 minutes, but we couldn't stop. Thanks to you. Thank you for a very rich discussion. And I hope you come back to visit us again. And best of luck to everything you do. But we do want to do one last mention about the Japan Global Leaders. You can find that on LinkedIn. Just search in the discussion box here under this video. We'll put a link to your postings. Yeah, and connect with Christian. Very fun guy.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
We'll see you. We'll see everybody in a few weeks. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us.